I had always believed in two things: hard work and fairness. Maybe that's what made the moment hurt so much more. 5 years. That's how long I had poured myself into this company. 5 years of working late nights, cleaning up others' messes, mentoring interns, taking blame I didn't deserve, and staying silent through budget cuts and policy changes. While others clocked out at 5, I was there until the janitors arrived. I never asked for a raise, rarely took vacation, and never missed a single deadline. So when our division head, Mr. Craig's son, announced a new leadership opening for the department head of analytics, every cell in my body knew it was my time. "I don't want to jinx it," my teammate Sanders said as we walked toward the conference room, "but if they don't give it to you, it's rigged." I smiled but stayed quiet. I didn't believe in celebrating too early. Still, I'd updated my LinkedIn profile the night before. The entire department was gathered around the large oval table. Coffee cups, laptops, and fake smiles surrounded us. Mr. Craig's son stood at the front with his usual fake charisma and rehearsed charm. Behind him, someone hovered near the door, someone I didn't recognize at first. And then I saw him, Alex Turner, his Gucci loafers, that smug smirk, hair gel back like a boy band reject from the early 2000s. I'd seen him once or twice before, mostly chatting with the girls in reception, or roaming around like the office was his playground. He was the CEO's nephew. I felt a faint chill in my stomach. Mr. Craig's son clapped his hands. "All right, team. Big day. Today we welcome a new leader for our department. Someone fresh, dynamic, and full of ideas." He gestured toward Alex. "Please welcome your new department head, Alex Turner." The room paused. A few forced claps trickled in. I didn't clap. I couldn't. My heart dropped so hard it shook the floor under me. I looked at Sandra, who looked back at me like she'd seen a ghost. Alex stepped forward, all confidence and cologne. "Hey, guys," he said with a wink. "Excited to bring a little energy to the team." Someone actually gagged. I don't know who. I stood up, walked out slowly. Not a word. Just left. My jaw was tight enough to break teeth. I made it halfway down the hallway before the pressure in my chest exploded. I ducked into the men's room, slammed the stall door, and leaned my head against the wall. How could they? After everything? Was it because I didn't go to the golf retreats? Because I didn't kiss up to the executives? Because I didn't belong to the family? That's when I heard the door open. "Total joke," someone whispered. "Did you hear he doesn't even have management experience?" HR tried to push back, but the CEO pulled rank. Another voice replied. I didn't recognize them. Maybe interns, but their words hit like ice. I walked out quietly before they could see me, back to my desk. I sat there, staring at my screen, watching the blinking cursor on my last report. I had one unread email from HR. Subject line: "Promotion update, official announcement." I didn't even open it. Instead, I got up and walked straight to the HR department on the 9th floor. The receptionist looked up, startled. "Daniel, hi. Do you have an appointment?" "No," I said calmly, "but I need to speak with Tina Monroe." After a pause, she nodded and picked up the phone. A moment later, the HR door opened and Tina, the senior HR manager, waved me in. She was always polite, always professional. But today, her eyes were different, like she'd been expecting this visit and was dreading it. "Close the door, please," she said, folded her hands on her desk. I did. "I know why you're here," she said before I could speak. "And I want to be very honest with you, Daniel." I stayed silent, just nodded. "I recommended you," she said. "Your track record is flawless. You had the support of 3 managers and 2 team leads. But the final call wasn't ours to make, so it went to CEO. I asked, voice low. She nodded. It wasn't merit-based. I'm sorry. I felt something twist in my gut, like my insides were rejecting the truth. And that's it, I said. No internal complaint process? No appeal? She glanced over her shoulder, then leaned in slightly. Technically, no. But, she paused, we're reviewing something. A few irregularities. I can't say more yet, but give a few days. That struck me as odd. Irregularities? She straightened up again, lips pressed tightly. I'm sorry, Daniel. I really am. I left the office confused and angry. What did she mean by irregularities? When I got back to my desk, something caught my eye. There was a note. No envelope. Just a folded white paper placed neatly on my keyboard. No one was nearby. I opened it. It read, check the hiring files. Start with March 18th. That date sounded familiar. I opened my calendar app. March 18th. Alex's first day at the company. My pulse quickened. This wasn't just office politics. Something was wrong. I stared at the note for a long time, flipping it over, checking the handwriting, trying to figure out who had left it. No name. No clue. Check the hiring files. Start with March 18th. That was the day Alex joined the company. I remembered it now. He had waltzed and wearing sunglasses, 15 minutes late to his onboarding meeting. I was the one who gave him a quick walkthrough of our systems. He didn't remember my name the next day. I glanced around the office. Everyone was either in the break room, gossiping, or back to pretending to work. No one seemed to be watching me. Still, my neck prickled with the sense of being observed. I opened a private browser window and logged into our internal HR portal. I had admin-level access from my time as interim project lead last year. No one ever revoked it. Lucky me. I typed in Alex's full name, Alex Turner. Nothing came up. Weird. I searched again, this time using partial entries. Turner, AT, new hire March 2023. Still nothing. Then I remembered something. The manual onboarding folder system that old-school HR still used as a backup. It was a relic, stored on the company's shared internal drive, and very few even knew it existed. I clicked through a dozen subfolders. Finally, I landed on a batch labeled 2023 Q1 Hires. My heart skipped when I found a folder named Turner_Alex. I opened it. It was almost empty. There were only 2 documents inside, a scanned ID and a welcome letter. Where were the essentials? No signed offer letter. No academic certifications. No background check. No emergency contact form. No tax forms. I felt not form in my throat. This wasn't just a lazy upload. This was intentional omission. Every new hire was supposed to complete a 12-document checklist. I even helped audit those files in 2022. We got flagged for 1 missing signature back then. This guy had 10 missing files and still got promoted? I copied the folder onto a USB stick I kept in my drawer. A habit I developed after watching 2 coworkers get scapegoated for system crashes they didn't cause. As I closed the folder, a notification flashed on the top right corner of my screen. Remote access attempt detected from admin node 04. Would you like to end this session? Yes/no. I clicked yes instantly. My screen flickered, then settled. What the hell was that? Someone tried to log into my system remotely. On a normal day, IT handled that stuff, but IT never accessed user sessions without sending alerts in advance. And today, no alerts, no IT ticket. Who the hell was watching me? I shut the laptop and glanced around. Still, nothing unusual, but something felt wrong now. Heavier, like a camera was trained on my back. I stood up, headed for the break room, trying to act casual. Coffee? Sandra asked, holding out a cup. Yeah, sure, I replied. My voice felt distant. Hey, did you hear HR's running some kind of internal review? She whispered as we stood by the vending machine. Someone said they're triple-checking personnel files from the last 2 years. Why now? I asked. She shrugged. No clue. But guess who was in Tina Monroe's office for 30 minutes this morning? Who? Alex. I froze. What was he doing there? I asked. No one knows. But he looked pissed when he came out, red-faced, like someone slapped him with a lawsuit. The pieces weren't fitting together, yet, but they were starting to lean. I waited until lunch hour. Most people left the floor. I went back to my desk, pulled out the USB again, and opened my own employee performance file. Just a gut instinct. Everything looked fine at first. Strong review scores, consistent growth. But then I reached the most recent quarter's review, and my jaw dropped. Score, 6.4/10. What? My scores had never dipped below 8.3. Then I opened the file history logs. Someone had edited the document 2 weeks ago, and the name in the metadata? Craigson_author. My manager. He downgraded my performance manually. There it was, the smoking gun. First, they erased red flags from Alex's file. Then they falsified mine to make the promotion look justified. And now, someone was watching me, trying to trace who was snooping around. I had to get smart. Fast. I zipped everything. The altered review, the partial hiring packet, the remote access alert, into an encrypted file, and emailed it to a burner email account I had for emergencies. Call me paranoid, but in this company, paranoia was self-defense. Just as I clicked send, another ping appeared, this one from Tina Monroe. Subject, private meeting, urgent. Time, today at 4:15 p.m. Location, HR records room. Not her office. The records room. Off the grid. No cameras. No IT audio feed. Something big was coming. And Tina? She was ready to talk. Chapter 3, Kalia Tayar. Your AAP Chahan told Peli character consistency prompts or visual image prompts generate car done as chapter tag key story Kalia. The HR records room wasn't meant for meetings. It was a cold, windowless archive space on the basement level. Just rows of metal filing cabinets, boxes, and a single blinking fluorescent bulb that always made the place feel like the star of a horror movie. At 4:13 p.m., I was already there. 2 minutes later, the door creaked open. Tina Monroe entered, clutching a thick manila envelope and looking over her shoulder before locking the door behind her. She didn't speak at first. She pulled a small white noise generator from her bag, placed it on top of a file box, and switched it on. Then she finally looked at me. Her voice was quiet, controlled. You weren't supposed to see that note. I stared at her. You left it? No, but I know who did. She placed the envelope on a nearby desk and slid it toward me. Before you open this, you need to understand something, Daniel. What's happening here is bigger than Alex. It's been happening for years. You're just the first person who got close enough to expose it. I opened the envelope carefully. Inside were copies, old and new. A copy of Alex's original background check, flagged red. Reason: disciplinary expulsion from MBA program due to harassment of faculty and falsification of coursework. Another document, a suppressed email exchange between Craig's son and the CEO. Subject: strategic placement. And then the internal referral form. It had one bold sentence underlined. Override all red flags for executive requests. I felt the blood drain from my face. So you knew? I asked. Tina didn't flinch. I didn't at first. But once I saw your performance scores were altered, I started digging. That's when I realized this wasn't the first time. She pulled out another sheet. It was a list of names, more than a dozen. Beside each, left within 3 months of being passed over. I spoke to a few of them off the record. One had a nervous breakdown. Another got blackballed in the industry. HR covered up every time. I sat down slowly. My legs felt weak. And you're showing me all this now? I asked, why? She hesitated. Because I'm not going to be here much longer. They're on to me. And you're the only one who might be able to finish what I started. What exactly is it you want me to do? Tina looked straight into my eyes. Build a case. Quietly. Back up everything. We leak it once the audit committee starts asking questions. We don't just take down Alex. We go after the system. I paused. What about whistleblower protection? She laughed bitterly. You think that'll stop them? They're powerful, Daniel. They'll bury this unless you bring it to light the right way. I nodded slowly. My mind was already racing. Files, emails, backups, witnesses. Tina stood, the weight of stress aging her 10 years in one glance. There's one more thing you need to see. She handed me a flash drive. This came from IT. A friend. It's a log of unauthorized access attempts made over the last 72 hours. I plugged it into my laptop, right there in the records room. There were multiple entries from Node 04, the same one that tried to spy on me earlier. Each access attempt targeted specific accounts. Turner _ Alex, Carter _ Daniel, Monroe _ Dina, and one other name that made my skin crawl. Carter _ Bryce. My brother. I blinked. Why is my brother's name in here? Tina's eyes widened slightly. I don't know. Who is he? Bryce Carter. He worked here as a consultant. Quit 2 years ago. Said the environment was toxic. Tina leaned forward. He may have known something, Daniel. Something they didn't want getting out. Can you reach him? I shook my head. We haven't spoken in a year. But something deeper stirred inside me. Bryce had tried to warn me before. Quiet jabs. Little warnings. You're too loyal to a company that isn't loyal to anyone, he said once. I thought he was just bitter. Maybe he wasn't. I pocketed the flash drive. I'll find him. Tina exhaled. I don't know how much time we have. I've already submitted my resignation. It'll be processed Friday. After that, you'll be invisible. I finished. She nodded. We didn't say anything else. Just a shared look. Tired, angry, determined. I left the records room and headed straight for the parking lot. The sky outside was darkening. Storm clouds rolling in. The wind had picked up. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't trapped. I was hunting. I didn't just want answers anymore. I wanted justice. And if this company wanted a war, they just chose the wrong employee to betray. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I sat in my small apartment, surrounded by printouts, USB drives, and Post-it notes scattered across my dining table. Tina's documents, the altered records, the access logs. I had built a small war room in my one-bedroom apartment, and I kept looking at one name, Bryce Carter, my older brother. We hadn't spoken in over a year. After he quit the company, we had a fight. He said something I wasn't ready to hear back then. One day you'll realize they don't care how good you are, just how useful you are. I called him around midnight. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. I dropped the phone and rubbed my face. Maybe he was gone for good. Or maybe he didn't want to be found. I was about to shut everything down when a message popped up on my personal laptop. An unknown sender. No name. No subject. Just one line in the email. Meet me at Lark's Diner. 8 a.m. Come alone. Attached. A screenshot of camera feed me in the records room earlier that day with Tina. Someone had access to the building surveillance. I didn't know if this was a threat or an opportunity, but I knew I didn't have a choice. Lark's Diner was the kind of place that hadn't changed in 30 years. Cracked vinyl booze, the smell of burnt coffee, and a waitress who called everyone Han. I sat at the back near the jukebox, where I could see the door and avoid being seen from outside. At exactly 8:04, the door opened. Bryce walked in. Same scruffy beard, leather jacket, and eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. He spotted me and slid into the booth across from me without a word. Took you long enough, he muttered. I didn't know you sent the note, I said. I didn't, he replied. But I did tap into the HR servers after I left. I figure if I couldn't burn the place down legally, I could at least keep an eye on it. I saw your access logs. I knew you'd finally seen it. Seen what? Bryce leaned forward. The web. What web? He pulled out a tablet and placed it on the table between us. Dozens of interconnected files appeared on screen. Names, dates, transactions, file edits. Some names I recognized. Some I didn't, but they all had one thing in common. Promotions, favors, job offers, all connected to family ties. Nephews, cousins, sons-in-law, golf buddies, former fraternity brothers. Bryce scrolled through the mess. This didn't start with Alex, he said. This has been going on for years. Quiet favoritism, hidden files, hush payments. Alex just happens to be the sloppiest one. He tapped one name. Craig's son, my manager. Guess what I found on him? Bryce said. He pulled up a PDF. An apartment lease co-signed by the CEO. Paid in full for 2 years. Luxury penthouse. You think he just decided to promote Alex because he's a fan? Craigson's on a leash. And the CEO's been using him to push family hires past HR quietly. I felt my stomach twist. And what about Tina? I asked, is she safe? She will be. I'm moving her out of town, he said. I'm not taking chances. People in that system don't play fair when they panic. I paused. Why are you helping me now? He sighed. Because you were me once. Loyal. Blind. I watched you walk into the same trap I barely escaped from. And because he stopped, looked me dead in the eyes. I knew one day you'd stop obeying. I stared at the web of connections on his screen. This isn't just a bad promotion. I muttered. No, Bryce said. This is a corporate syndicate, hidden inside HR paperwork. And we're going to tear it apart. Back at work the next morning, I walked into a war zone. Whispers everywhere. The board had announced a surprise internal audit of executive hiring. Panic was in the air. Executives were holed up in private meetings. The HR office door was locked. IT was resetting access privileges. Then I saw Alex pacing near Craigson's office. His tie was crooked, and he looked like he hadn't slept. He saw me. Our eyes met. He walked over, fake confidence radiating off him like cheap cologne. Hey, he said, forcing a smile. Rough week, huh? I said nothing. He leaned in slightly. You know, there's still time to be part of the team. Keep your head down, and maybe there's a future here for you. I stepped closer. I'm not staying quiet anymore. His smile faltered. What do you think you're doing? He whispered. Fixing what you broke. I turned and walked away. That night, I launched phase one of Bryce's plan. A detailed report with timestamps, file edits, suppressed reviews, and he altered hiring data, all sent anonymously to the board's legal team. Within hours, I received confirmation. Board investigation now active. All promotions frozen pending review. I shut the laptop and sat back. For the first time in years, I wasn't surviving. I was fighting back. The office felt different the next morning. Quieter, tenser. No one was laughing in the break room. No one was gossiping over the coffee machine. People stared at their screens like their keyboards held secrets. Eyes shifted toward every closed-door meeting. Because now, everyone knew. The board's internal audit had officially launched. Every major department had been told to submit their hiring and promotion records for the last 3 years. All executive access privileges were temporarily suspended. And most importantly, all promotions, including Alex's, were put under review. He wasn't officially fired, but he wasn't department head anymore either. At 9:43 a.m., I received a system-wide message. Effective immediately, Alex Turner's role is suspended pending audit review. All team functions revert to interim structure. I stared at the screen and smiled. It had begun, but I didn't have long to enjoy it. At 10:12 a.m., 2 security officers appeared at my desk. Daniel Carter? One of them asked. Yes. We need you to come with us. They didn't sound threatening, but their tone wasn't casual either. I stood, heart thudding. Every eye in the room followed us as I was escorted out. No cuffs, no force, just silent shame. But I didn't feel shame. I felt ready. They led me to a small, windowless conference room on the 14th floor, the executive level, a place I had never been invited to before. Inside, 3 people waited. Mr. Halford, the board's internal legal counsel, Dr. Rena Morgan, the chief compliance officer, and surprisingly, Tina Monroe. She sat at the far end of the table, calm and professional, but with tired eyes. Halford gestured toward the seat. Mr. Carter, thank you for coming. Please have a seat. You're not in trouble, but we do need clarity. I nodded and sat. We received a detailed whistleblower packet early this morning. Very organized, very damning, Dr. Morgan said, placing her fingers together. It came from an anonymous account, but that account used access timestamps that match your logins. I didn't deny it. I sent it, I said. Halford raised an eyebrow. Why not come directly to us? Because I didn't trust anyone until I knew it couldn't be erased. I've seen what this company does to people who ask the wrong questions. Dr. Morgan glanced at Tina, then nodded slowly. Understandable, she said. Still risky, but effective. Tina reached into her bag and slid a file across the table. We've been conducting a shadow investigation based on Daniel's findings. What we've uncovered is systemic abuse of power. Hal Ford opened the file. It listed 6 falsified performance reviews for executive promotions with bypassed background checks, 3 instances of whistleblowers mysteriously terminated, and 1 forged academic record, Alex Turner's. Dr. Morgan looked at me directly. You risked your career to expose this. I didn't respond, because I hadn't done it for praise. I'd done it because I was tired of being loyal to a lie. Hal Ford spoke next. Effective today, Daniel, you're being placed on protective administrative status. That means you'll work remotely, your identity will be shielded, and you'll assist our forensic audit team with any technical details. Tina added, and once this is complete, there's already talk of forming a permanent internal ethics review panel. You be considered for leadership. It wasn't a promotion. It wasn't a shiny corner office. But it was power. Real power. The kind that changes things. I nodded. I'm in. The next 48 hours moved like a storm. Craig's son was removed quietly. Alex was locked out of all systems. His employee badge was deactivated. Security escorted him out at 6:07 p.m., just as most of the office had cleared. People whispered. No one said it out loud. But I heard Sandra later say it to someone near the printer. They thought Daniel was just another quiet guy. Guess they forgot quiet guys are the ones who watch everything. Saturday morning, I received a voicemail from an unknown number. I played it twice before I really understood it. You made your point, Daniel. But this isn't over. Some people don't stay buried long. It was Alex. I didn't bother responding. Instead, I forwarded it to Dr. Morgan, labeled as attempted intimidation evidence. Let him dig his own grave deeper. By Sunday night, I sat alone in my apartment. The chaos finally starting to fade. Emails were slowing. The pressure in my chest was easing. I looked at the wall across from me. Dozens of sticky notes, strings, papers. The entire 5-year map of deception and lies. I pulled one note down at a time. Not out of fear, but because the job was almost done. Monday would be different, not just for me, but for every overlooked employee who ever dared to work hard and stay honest. The final audit report landed like a thunderclap. It was a 76-page document sent from the board's ethics committee to every employee in the company. Subject line: Transparency Report. Promotion integrity and executive oversight. Immediate action required. Within the first page, it listed 14 unjust promotions reversed, 3 senior executives suspended pending legal inquiry, $1.2 million in bonuses frozen, and most importantly, a new compliance board formed, independent from the CEO. At the bottom of the email, a small note read, "This investigation was made possible by the courage of one anonymous whistleblower." But people knew. Everyone in the office had seen the signs, the tension, the shift. They knew who had started the storm. And the whispers started turning into handshakes, into nods in the hallway, into quiet thank you messages in Daniel's inbox. Monday morning, 1 month later, I walked back into the building after 4 weeks of remote status. This time, no one called security. Tina was standing by reception, now promoted to director of compliance, a role she actually earned. She smiled when she saw me. "They're waiting for you upstairs," she said. I stepped into the executive conference room. Once a place where people like me weren't invited. Now, I was chairing the meeting. I wasn't the department head. I wasn't a flashy new face. I was the one who changed the system. As the meeting began, someone from legal asked, "What should we call this new ethics initiative?" There was silence. People looked at each other. Then Sandra, now promoted to team lead, looked at me and said, "Let's call it the Carter Standard. You know, for the guy who reminded this company what honesty actually looks like." I laughed. "Let's keep the name simple." I said, but the standard? Let's make it unforgettable. Later that night, back home, I received one last email. It was from an intern. I didn't even remember his name at first. I almost quit. I thought this company would never change. But you showed me it's possible to win without playing dirty. Thank you. I stared at the screen for a moment, then closed the laptop. Not because it was over, but because I was just getting started. If you've ever been passed over, if you worked harder, stayed longer, and stayed loyal while others played the game, and if you've been told to stay quiet, be patient, or it's just how the system works, don't stay silent. Your voice may be the one thing standing between corruption and accountability. Speak up, stand firm, expose what needs to be seen. Because sometimes it only takes one honest employee to bring down an empire of lies.